George Carlin, famous comedian, once said, "Leftovers make you feel good twice. First, when you put it away, you feel thrifty and intelligent. I'm saving food. And then a month later, when blue hair is growing out of the ham and you throw it away, you feel really intelligent. I'm saving my life." I'm Jamie Rathbun with K-State Research and Extension's Midway District, and today we're going to talk about making over your leftovers. About 90 billion pounds of edible food goes uneaten each year in the United States. That amount equals 123 times the weight of the Empire State Building. So raise your hand if you've ever tossed food from each of the 5 food groups at least a few times a month. I know I fit in that category. When food is tossed, money is lost. Here is the cost of food waste per food group per person yearly. That's per person. In my home, there's myself, my husband, and 4 kids. So take these numbers times 6 and it really adds up. This total means that tossed food costs consumers about $370 per person yearly. Again, with my family of 6, that equals $2,220 per year. And I don't know about you, but I can find much better things to do with just over $2,000 a year than throw it out. So not only are we wasting money, but we're also harming the environment. Due to the loss of resources that are used to produce the uneaten food, including 30% of fertilizers, 31% of cropland, 25% of total fresh water consumption, and 2% of total energy consumption, food waste becomes a major contributor to waste in general. It is a major contributor to municipal waste that decomposes into methane and produces a potent greenhouse gases. Reducing food waste also helps reduce food insecurity. 42 million Americans, including 13 million children, are food insecure. Reducing food waste by 15% could feed more than 25 million Americans yearly. Reducing the amount of food wasted in the nation by 50% alone by 2030 is an initiative launched by the USDA and the EPA in 2015. The following tips will help reduce food waste at home, plus they'll save you money, help the environment, and aid in food insecurity. And everything includes basic ingredients, so you don't create new leftovers by making over your leftovers. Bread, especially bread that may be getting a little dry, is going to work very well for breadcrumbs, bread pudding, stratas, and French toast. Rice bowls, puddings, and fried rice work especially well with leftover rice. And another option is to take that leftover pasta. I don't know about you, but typically when I make any sort of pasta noodle, such as the spaghetti you can see here, I always make way too much for the sauce that I have. So you can take that leftover pasta, heat it in a pan with a little bit of olive oil, sprinkle it with Parmesan cheese, and maybe add a little extra pizzazz by adding some fresh herbs as a topping to that pasta. Now we'll move on to the fruit group. We can freeze some fresh lemons or lime juice in ice cube trays, transfer those ice cubes to a freezer bag and pop it into water for flavored water. We can also take ripe bananas and refrigerate them to make them last a few days longer. They're going to turn a little bit brown on the outside, but they're still going to have a very nice color and flavor on the inside. Also for flavoring your water, you can freeze lemon slices, lime slices, or other pieces of fruits and berries in a muffin pan along with a little bit of water, so you've got larger chunks of ice to flavor bigger coolers or jugs of water. You can take bite-sized pieces of fruit, some strawberries, cantaloupe, peaches or pears that might be left over. There were a few too many slices in the can to use up completely with your meal. Chop those into bite-sized pieces and place them on a baking sheet. Transfer that baking sheet into the freezer. And then once they are frozen hard, again, you can pop those in a freezer bag and pull them out and toss them into smoothies as a nice treat or dessert. From our protein group, we can take some leftover meat, and a lot of times that leftover meat gets a warmed over taste when we warm it up in the microwave. So we may want to take these leftover meats, pieces of roast, pieces of ground beef, pork chops, and serve them with sauces or other types of seasonings. Maybe use them for a chili or a taco dish, so that we can mask that warmed over flavor with any of those sauces and seasonings that we're putting on them. The sauces and gravies are also going to help prevent any further changes to the flavor of the meat as we're reheating. When we talk about vegetables, we are going to you can take chopped up onions and other veggies, and maybe some green peppers or other peppers that you might have, and chop them up ahead of time. Again, place them out on a baking sheet, or if they're small enough, you can put them in a freezer bag right away in that shape that you might need for recipes. Freeze them, and all it takes is a good whack on the counter in order to kind of break those up and be able to measure out the amount that you need for your recipe. You can take extra vegetables, green beans, corn, carrots, mashed potatoes, puree those up in a food processor or a blender, and maybe, if possible, freeze them in a muffin tin at first, so you've got about a half cup serving. And you can heat those up with pasta sauces to add a little extra vegetable to your pasta sauce, and your kids will never know that it's in there. You have extra tomato paste. A lot of times I use recipes and it only calls for about half a can or 2 tablespoons of that tomato paste from the can. You can freeze that tomato paste in table-sized spoon portions, again on a cookie sheet, and then once it's frozen, transfer it into a Ziploc bag. But you can use that sauce, that extra tomato paste, to flavor different soups, casseroles, and pasta sauces. The tomato flavor is really going to enhance the flavor of those foods, and it's a very concentrated tomato flavor, so it almost adds a meaty-like taste to those dishes that you're preparing. If you have extra herbs from your garden, you can go ahead and chop those up and freeze those in an ice cube tray with some olive oil. And that olive oil and herb mixture is going to add some delicious addition to sauces and pastas that you may be preparing. Leftover French fries. Anytime we do go out to eat, my kids rarely finish those fries and we end up bringing them home, but they get really soggy and limp. So if you want to, you can heat a small amount of olive oil or canola oil in a heavy skillet over medium heat. Spread out those fries in a single layer, leaving plenty of space around those French fries. If you cram them and place them too close together, they're going to steam instead of saute, and we want them to saute so they get that crisp texture again. You're going to turn them on all of their sides until they're evenly heated and crisp. Place them on a paper towel to drain off any of that extra oil, and you'll have some good quality French fries. Your root vegetables, carrots, potatoes, sweet potatoes, you can roast those. Roasting them roasting them is going to add a delightfully sweet taste, and it's a very delicious way to use up those last few vegetables that you might have lingering on your countertop or in your refrigerator. Cut them into similar sized chunks so that they'll all finish roasting at the same time, and pop them in your oven, and you'll have a very delicious vegetable blend to enjoy with your supper. What I brought here are some display models of some different veggies. Green beans, corn, peas, mashed potatoes. You could use carrots. I will a lot of times take these leftovers when there's not quite enough to serve everyone, or even one person, and I will place them in a freezer safe container and pop that in my freezer. And then each time we have a vegetable, I go ahead and add that little bit of leftover each time. So then when we make a vegetable beef stew, I have a container of mixed veggies I can dump right into that pot and have ready to go, rather than having to buy the bagged kind or waste what was the tiny bit left over in our can from our serving that evening. The last vegetable tip is that a chopped salad is known for containing small pieces of fresh produce and usually vegetables. With a chopped salad, you are limited only by your own imagination. Possibilities are going to include onions, bell peppers, carrots, tomatoes, celery, lettuce, spinach, cabbage, zucchini, cauliflower, broccoli, kale, peas, radishes, cucumbers, cooked corn that you cut off of the cob, and zucchini. Chopped salads are a very delicious dish for cleaning out your refrigerator. And a chopped salad, as a note, is very much easier to eat from a bowl that has sides on it rather than from a plate, because you do have so many chopped ingredients in there. Now we're going to move over to the dairy group. A few tips here could be freezing some Parmesan cheese rinds and adding them while they're still frozen to a soup or a stew for a little bit of extra flavor. You can also use up odds and ends of cheese by shredding them with a grater or in your food processor. Mix in your different choices of ingredients with that shredded cheese. Cut those ingredients into small pieces. Some examples might be olives, pickles, pimentos, chives, walnuts, or peppers. Then to that mixture, add enough mayonnaise, regular or low fat, to bind those ingredients together and spread it on your favorite bread for a tasty sandwich. Or just take that extra cheese and top it on top of a recipe that needs a little something extra to make it special, tastier, because as most of us know, cheese is great on anything. When it comes to yogurt, that's another one that my kids enjoy, but sometimes we end up buying too many cartons when it's on sale and it's getting close to that expiration date. So what we'll do then is use vanilla or even other fruit flavored yogurts as a dressing for a fruit salad. Lemon flavored yogurt is especially nice on a Waldorf salad. If you can purchase a large carton of yogurt to save money, but that larger carton is not getting used and it's becoming a permanent fixture in your refrigerator, try making a smoothie with some of that extra fruit that we chopped up and put in the freezer. Try all kinds of combinations of yogurt and fruit and you will not be disappointed. As an alternative, the weather's starting to get warmer out, and so what I will do sometimes is take those smoothie mixtures and pour them into popsicle molds and make some ice pops that my kids can enjoy outdoors when it's warm outside. Combinations of foods can sometimes be tricky when it's not just a single type of food that we want to save for later. Use your leftover fruits, vegetables, nuts, and cooked eggs to add into that chopped salad. You can combine leftover pasta with foods like boiled eggs, wedges or slices and bite-sized chunks of cheese, chopped fresh vegetables, and some cooked dry beans. Then take that pasta mixture and mix it with your favorite vinaigrette type dressing. Refrigerate it for about an hour before you're going to serve it to let those flavors blend, and you have a delicious and unique pasta salad. You can create cookies, again with 4 kids at home. Sometimes we get down to the end of baked cookies or a package of cookies and there's not enough for everyone, and they start arguing about who gets those last couple of cookies. And so what we'll do is crumble them up, add our favorite pudding and some fruit, and make a parfait with those cookie crumbles. You can add in all kinds of different berries, different flavors of puddings or yogurt to change up that flavor each time that you're making one. A note with these is to serve them very soon after preparation, or those cookie crumbles are going to become soggy. Some other types of foods that we may need to check for their quality or that I haven't addressed yet include baking powder. You want to test baking powder for freshness so that you know that, and baking soda as well, to make sure that you're going to come out with a quality baked product and it's going to rise appropriately. To test your baking powder freshness, mix 1 teaspoon of baking powder with 1/3 cup of hot water. If that baking powder mixture foams vigorously, it still has rising power. To test your baking soda, you want to place 1 to 1.5 teaspoons in a small bowl, add a tablespoon of vinegar, and if it fizzes, then it's going to help leaven that food. If it doesn't fizz, take that baking soda and use it as an odor catcher in your refrigerator or freezer. Some other fixes for food would be lumpy gravy. You can pour that through a sieve or a strainer in order to get those lumps out. If you're needing to measure some stickier ingredients, honey, peanut butter, and those types of things, take your measuring cup and spray it with a little bit of nonstick spray or rub some oil on the inside so that those ingredients easily slip right out of your measuring cup and into your recipe, and you're not having to fight scraping them out or waste all of the extra that's stuck on the inside. Another tip, almost empty mayonnaise, jam, or jelly jars. You can add some oil, vinegar, and herbs and spices and shake those up for a quick salad dressing. When you do this, you want to use 1 part vinegar to 3 parts oil and just shake those jars up with your seasonings in there, and then you have a nice dressing for your salad. Another one is frosting on cakes, and sometimes that frosting gets lumpy and we think, oh, that doesn't look so great to serve to folks, but go ahead and fix that lumpy frosting by adding something lumpy to it. Add some chopped nuts or some coconut and people will never know that there's lumps in that frosting. We're going to take a quick break and come back to learn more ways to prevent wasted food, including some on creating less leftovers to use up.
Your home's exterior is the best defense against harsh weather conditions. With insulated vinyl siding, energy-efficient windows, spray foam insulation, and metal roofing from AquaShield Roofing and Construction, you can protect your home from howling winds and ice-cold temperatures. Don't let Mother Nature interfere with the comfort of your home. Call or visit us online today for a free estimate. AquaShield Roofing and Construction. Our team is dedicated to your complete satisfaction.
Make a difficult choice an easy one with Cedarview Assisted Living's knowledgeable and caring staff. Your loved one will be professionally taken care of as they transition into their new community. With movies, holiday parties, planned exercises, and games, residents will have opportunities every day to enjoy their time at Cedarview. Multiple room styles are available, ensuring a just right fit for your loved one. Come see Cedarview Assisted Living for yourself next to Sternberg Museum. The care you need, the home you want.
Storage Solutions is invested in complete customer satisfaction. You can choose a drive-up unit or a climate-controlled unit. Plus, you can choose from storage units of all sizes to fit your inventory. And that's not all. They'll sign for your packages and deliver and unload them into your unit. Storage Solutions has been named in the top 100 U-Haul dealers 6 times. Rent a pickup, cargo van, or a moving truck to keep your goods on the go. Remember, making moving and storing easy is Storage Solutions in Hayes and Victoria.
What a girl wants in her home kitchen. Ease of use, flexibility, fun, the latest kitchen design, Frigidaire Professional Real Stainless Steel for fewer finger smudges, a French door refrigerator, convection cooking, a quiet dishwasher. Have the staff at Genuine Appliance in Hayes demonstrate new Frigidaire Professional appliances to find what you want. Genuine Appliance at 1224 East 27th in Hayes. Everything a girl wants.
Welcome back to Extension Ed Talks. I'm Jamie Rathbun with K-State Research and Extension, and we're talking about making over our leftovers to prevent food waste. So more ways to prevent food waste are to reduce the size of your recipe so you don't cook more than you need, substituting more common ingredients, dried herbs or seasonings rather than fresh, storing and preparing fresh produce properly to prevent spoilage, safe food handling so it doesn't go bad, and interpreting food date codes correctly. So I'm going to give you a little pop quiz and we'll cover each of these items in more detail. How many teaspoons are there in 1/2 of a tablespoon? Many recipes can be cut in half or thirds, so use measurement conversion charts in a cookbook or found online to help you decrease the size of your recipes to cut back on the amount of leftovers you have. Another question, how much garlic powder will substitute for a small garlic clove? You and your friends may be sorry if you got this substitution wrong. Again, use your cookbook or an online resource to find ingredient substitutions so you don't buy a whole container of an ingredient that you will use infrequently. Should you wash fruits and vegetables before refrigerating them? No. Wash produce before you use it, not when you bring it home. Wash hands before working with produce. Fresh produce has natural protective coating that helps keep the moisture in and protect freshness. Washing produce before storage causes it to spoil faster. Remember those berries that turned moldy after you washed and then stored them? Which of these foods should be stored at room temperature? Onions, tomatoes, pumpkin and winter squashes, or all of them? Some foods that taste best stored at room temperature include bananas, garlic, onions, potatoes, sweet potatoes, tomatoes, and winter squashes. Store them in a clean, dry, well-ventilated place, away from direct sunlight and away from areas where meat is prepared. Avoid leaving produce in a sealed plastic bag on your countertop. This is going to slow the ripening process and may cause off odors and decay from the accumulation of carbon dioxide and depletion of oxygen inside the bag. How long should you store leftovers in the refrigerator? 3 to 4 days. Keeping those leftovers longer than that is going to not be a safe food handling practice and can allow bacteria to begin growing and cause you potential food sickness from that consuming those after those 3 to 4 days. So to protect yourself from foodborne illness, go ahead and discard any food after that 3 to 4 day window. Is it safe to eat food from rusted or dented cans? We are going to discard heavily rusted cans because they could have tiny holes in them, allowing bacteria to enter. Surface rust that you could remove from a can by rubbing with your finger or a paper towel is not going to be serious. You can keep those canned foods. If you open the can and see there is rust inside, do not eat the food. Rust is oxidized iron and is not safe to eat. Now, if a can contains a dent on it but is in otherwise good shape, the food should still be safe to eat. You want to discard any deeply dented cans. A deep dent is one that you can lay your finger into and raises above that height of your finger. Deep dents often have sharp points, and a sharp point on either the top side or the seam can damage the seam around the top and allow bacteria to enter the can. So discard any can with a deep dent, especially near that seam. Is food safe, immediately unsafe, after a best if used by date? This is a question I get frequently in the office, and a best if used by or a best if used before date is recommended for best flavor or quality. It's not a purchase or a safety date. Over 90%, that is 9 out of 10 Americans, may toss food too soon. Currently, there are more than 10 different date labels on packages, such as sell by, use by, expires on, best before, better if used by, or best by. So you can see why consumers get confused and we get calls into our offices. This confusion can lead to you as a consumer discarding a safe or a usable product even before it needs to be thrown out. Date labeling is a voluntary regulation, except federal regulations do require a use by date on the product label of infant formula. Consumption by that date ensures that the formula contains not less than the quantity of each nutrient described on the label, and formula must maintain an acceptable quality to pass through an ordinary bottle nipple. So except for infant formula, the usage date is selected by the manufacturer, the packer, or the distributor of the product on the basis of product analysis through its shelf life, tests, and other information. It's also based on the conditions of handling, storage, preparation, and use, the use that is printed on the label for what you're going to use the product for. Coming soon are new voluntary date labels. This is an industry-wide effort to reduce consumer confusion about product date labels. Grocery manufacturers and retailers have joined together to adopt standard wording on packaging about the quality and safety of the products. The new voluntary initiative is going to streamline the myriad of date labels on those consumer products down to just 2 standard phrases. Best if used by is going to describe the product quality, where the product may not taste or perform as expected, but is still safe for use or to consume. Use by is the second term, and this is going to apply to the few products that are highly perishable and or have food safety concerns over time. These products should be consumed by the date listed on the package and disposed of after that date. This new initiative for common phrasing is led by the Food Marketing Institute and the Grocery Manufacturers Association. These 2 major trade associations for retailers and consumer product manufacturing. Manufacturers have until July of 2018 to make this change. As these standards are voluntary, there is no guarantee that every company is going to adopt them, and in some states there may be other things that are implemented in terms of date labeling. So I'm going to end with one of the most commonly quoted thoughts about leftovers. The most remarkable thing about my mother is that for 30 years she served the family nothing but leftovers. The original meal has never been found. Go ahead and use some of these tips to make over your leftovers, reduce that food waste, and help our environment. Thanks for joining me.